All right, looks like we are live. Happy Tuesday, everyone, and it's good to be back for those of you who have missed me. I've been gone for the last couple of months, back and forth to San Francisco, rehearsing for Adobe Max keynote. So that is now all behind me, and it is time to get back to what I do, and that is streaming here live for you and showing tips and techniques using Adobe software. So great to be back. Great to have so many of you joining me now live. Seems like it's been a few months, and it has been. So I see folks, I'm actually multicasting to all my social media platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, um, Periscope, and Twitter. Good to see you as well. And for the first time, LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is starting live streaming as well. And I've been finally approved to do LinkedIn Live. So happy to be there as well as everywhere else that I stream. So let me just move a window out of my way so we can get going here. One of the things that's challenging in juggling all of the streams is juggling all of the comment windows. So over to my right, I see Cindy, KJ, Philip, welcome, Martin, Victoria, all on Facebook. Glad to see you there. Colleen, Brittany, Tom, Valder, Steve, Joe, all glad to see you there as well. And I see some reactions coming in on LinkedIn, and I saw a couple folks on Twitter as well. So it's a full house today, and glad to be back. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. So this topic is really kind of some of the new things in InDesign. So as you know, Max is our big release. That's where we usually update everything. Some releases bigger than others. And InDesign got a modest update, I'll admit, at Max. So not a bunch of new things, but certainly some useful things. And I see one of the InDesign engine, or actually product team, is on LinkedIn. So great to have you as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive in. I'll jump on my computer. And I've got InDesign open. This is a document similar to the one that I used in the keynote, but I'm going to show you a couple of new things that I didn't show in the keynote. And let's start with, hang on one second, one more screen here. Okay, great. Let's start with two things I'll just mention that I'm not really going to demo, but one of the new features, and I'll be the first to admit I never needed this in InDesign. I never really understood the reason behind it, but SVG, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphics Import. So now, and I was like, couldn't InDesign do that already? And what it is InDesign, yes, would import SVGs in the past, but it would import them as just PNG files. Like if you pulled one in from the library, it would just do it as a PNG file, and that's it. Now, if there is interactivity associated with that SVG, InDesign can take advantage of it. So there is that. All right, next one. And this is, again, just one of those things that you'll quickly assimilate it, because it's one of those things whenever we get something that's faster, we just get used to the new speed and then we forget about it. InDesign now launches 25% faster. So every time you click that icon, you should get a 25% speed boost in the launch time. So with that said, a lot of the updates this time around were all about performance and stability. You know, some customers scream, give me new features. Some customer screams, forget the new features, just make it work. Like, make it more stable, make it faster. And that's what a lot of the teams did this time around, is concentrate on those efforts, making the products more stable and making them faster. That is an ongoing process. It's always one of those things where nothing is ever perfect. There is no application on the planet that doesn't have bugs. So it's just a constant squash bugs, improve performance as quickly as possible. All right, I see Dave Clayton also joined from the UK, and Roy Evans. Glad to have you here as well. So two things, SVG import and 25% faster launch. Now let's get into some of the things that I can show that you'll actually be able to see. So first and foremost, I have an image here. Actually, I have a layer here that's locked. So let me go to my layers panel. And in my text layer, I've got a locked image or locked layer for this word explore. So I'm going to double click on the word Explorer now that I've unlocked it, or maybe not. There we go. And select all the text. And now that I got the text selected, I'm going to choose a different font. And one of my favorite new things in InDesign, Illustrator got it first, then Photoshop got it, now InDesign finally gets it, and that's variable fonts. So what's variable fonts? If you go to your font menu and you just start typing in the word variable, V-A-R, if you have any variable fonts, you'll see their icon on the right-hand side. You'll see the open type icon with the word or the initials VAR on it, which means that that's a variable font. So I like being able to search because I don't remember which ones are variable, and I don't want to have to scroll the entire list. Scroll the document that time. I don't want to scroll the entire list just looking for variable fonts. So just typing VAR allows me to scroll this list and find all the variable fonts that I happen to have installed, which I have a few. A lot of instances of those few, but I have a few. So I'm going to just stick to the one that's at the very top. ACM Variable Concept Black. Now when I choose this, it may be so big that it disappears because the type got so big that it actually overset the frame. Now I can make the frame bigger and show it, but I have a better way. When you're working with a variable font, there's a new icon right here. And you'll see this on the control panel. You'll see this on the text panel. So this T with a small T going that way and a line, a control panel and a handle going that way. That's the new variable font control. So that's a new widget on all your type panels. So when I click that, it brings up all the characteristics that that particular variable font has. Now, not every variable font has all the characteristics. So in this case, this one has weight, width, and slant. Some may only have weight, some may only have width. It depends on the font itself. But for example, if I just reduce the width of that font, then we can see it again. So I can play around, and this is what we mean by variable. I could play around with the width of that font. Now, it may look like, hey, he's just doing kerning. No, it's actually changing the character shapes and making them skinnier. So the whole point behind a variable font is in the past, a font manufacturer or a font designer would have to design all the different weights that you would want: a thin, a heavy, a thick, a fat, italic, so forth and so on. So in this case, I can play around with the weight and just go all the way down to a thin and anything in between, make it nice and thick. And here we'll make the width a little bit skinnier. There we go. A really super thick version of that font. And what this will cut down on, hopefully, is having to have so many different fonts just to get the different weights and allowing you to design something that perfectly fits what you're trying to design. So in other words, if I just need a font that's somewhere between medium, bold, and heavy, I can experiment with that and get exactly what I want. So if I want the width to be a little skinnier than that and the weight to be a little skinnier than that, I can get the look that I'm looking for with variable fonts. And of course, slant does what you would expect. It slants the font, kind of giving you that italic look, but giving you control over how much slant you get. So that's variable fonts. So variable fonts are supported now across the board, Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. All right, next up, and again, I'm happy to see that one. The next one that we're going to talk about, and this is one that I did demonstrate in the keynote. I have an image here, and this is actually my image that I took in Antelope Canyon. And when you have an image, whether or not it's one you took, whether or not you got it from stock, no matter where you got it from, you can have stock look for images like that one with the new Find Similar command. So if I right-click on this image and I choose Find Similar, there it is in the contextual menu, it will go out to Adobe Stock in my CC libraries and find images like that one. So it found different variations of that same canyon. It's pretty canny that it finds like almost the exact spot that I was standing when I took it. But different ones that, like, for example, if I was looking for one that lets in a little bit more light, I can get that one. lets in a lot more light, maybe has a little bit more yellow to it. I can find similar images this way. So you can find one that looks better than the one you have, or one that the client likes better. So maybe this one where they can see more of the ground, maybe you're going to put somebody walking on the ground. So if I pull that image in and I replace my image with it, and then I go in and also do a, let's go to my properties panel here. Hang on for a second. There we go. I don't know if I got my properties panel in this workspace. Let's see. Bring up the properties panel. There we go. And then I can also do a content-aware fit. I can find my content-aware fit. Let's see. There we go. Make sure the panel is selected, or the frame is selected, and do a content-aware fit to make that fit in there. Now, if I show this preview to my client and my client likes it, I have the ability in InDesign, this is not new, but you have the ability to license right here in the frame. So that's the license from Adobe Stock button right on the frame itself, so I don't have to go back to the library to find it. I can license that image right here and use up one of my licenses to do it. But since I shot Antelope Canyon, I'm not going to waste my license on this particular one. But there you go. Now, so far, that's all I got a chance to show in the keynote, was really just that. There's some cool tips and tricks behind this feature. So let me scroll. Actually, I don't have another page. Let's go create another page. Oh, I do have another page. Let's go create another page. And let's delete this one. I was experimenting with this earlier. Yep. Okay, so let's go to we're on our new page now. And what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to my libraries again. Hey, Jamie, what's going on? I'm going to go to my libraries again, and I'm going to close this. And I'm going to pull over an image. Another image I have here. And we'll just pull it over to be like that big. Okay, so there's an image that I pulled in. And of course, if I were to do the exact same thing, right click on it, find similar images, that will go out to Adobe Stock and find images like this. So I'm going to get various versions of food platters. Got it. Here's the tip. InDesign will use the frame to isolate what you're looking for. In other words, since I brought the entire image in and the entire image is showing in the frame, it used the entire image to do the search. But let's say I'm happy with this image, but I want to find images like it to use in conjunction. Maybe I'm doing an article about food, and hey, you know what? I need another pepper image. Not the whole food platter, just the pepper. So if I were to collapse the frame down temporarily just to show me this, and then I do a find similar images, I get peppers. So it is context sensitive to what you have isolated in the frame. I kind of like that one, so I'm going to pull that one over. All right, and we'll put that one right there for now. Okay, cool. And then of course you can reset your frame back to whatever size you want. So I could have just resized it to fit the content, but there we go. And let's try it one more time. Let's go in and do this and do that. So I'm just isolating the frame to just the part of the image that I wanted to search on. And then I can right click, find similar images, and it will find images based on what it sees. So now I get all the different leaves sitting on top of sauce, whatever that is. And let's say I like this one, sitting on top of pasta, that is. And then we'll pull that one over. Great. Okay. So now I can go in and I can say, let's say we want to fit the frame to the content. There we go. That will put it back out. And now I've got my two images that are what I need. And now we're going to go ahead and talk about the next feature. So one more to go. I'm going to grab my type tool. And I must admit, I never thought I needed this as a feature, but once I saw it, I was like, oh, I've been there before. I've done this before. I know I've had this problem before. I'm going to go ahead and create a frame. And we won't see the frame because I've got the preview turned off, so the frame just disappeared. So I'm just going to turn the preview off for a second. And I'm going to, with that frame selected, I'm going to choose 3 columns. And choose whatever number of columns you want. So now I got a 3-column frame ready to put some type in. I've gone through manually and drawn lines between columns. So the question was from Phil, do these images load from Adobe stock? That's exactly where they load from. But anyway, I've drawn rules between columns as a visual effect just to get what I want. And it was like, I never thought, hey, that could be a frame attribute. That'd be nice. And the team did that. So let's go in and do a text frame options. And there's a new tab called column rules. And I have the preview turned on. So I'll insert column rules and it just automatically put rules in my frame. So unlike me drawing them, first of all, let me change the weight. I'm going to do half a point instead of a point, so make them a little thinner. And now instead of me drawing them and having to keep them updated, now they're part of the frame. So if I make the frame smaller, make the frame shorter, my rules apply. Like I don't have to keep changing the lines themselves. They just keep doing it. All right, so what if I increase the number of columns? I still get the same rule because that's a frame attribute now and not just manually drawn rules in between each column. If I go down to 2 columns, 2 columns that is, then I just get the 1 rule. So again, it was one of those things I never really realized I could use that as a feature, but that actually comes in very handy. Now, if I go back to that text frame options, and I go back to the column rules. Again, I just use the standard black rule at a half point. You can make them tinted. You can make them a different style. You can make them and here, let's go back up in size. Maybe even bigger. How about that? So we can really see it. You can make them a different color. You can do whatever you want to those rules and they will apply. Maybe not pink. How about maybe not red either? How about orange to kind of match what's going on up there? Okay, cool. So you've got paragraph rules, or no, column rules, I should say. Column rules in your document now. And those are the 4 things that I thought were worthy of showing here on my live stream. There are some other minor enhancements for spell check, and I'm drawing a blank on some of the other ones, but just you go read the website to learn about the other little things that the team did. But those are the big ones as far as I'm concerned, the ones that you'll kind of use on a regular basis going forward. And the fact that you can now easily find replacement images, you can use variable fonts, you get a 25% faster load speed, and these paragraph rules, pretty cool. So let's see what the team can come up with next time around. And I can't wait to see what InDesign does next. So with that, let's wrap up. Let's see. It's a pity you can't put a line below the text. Okay, so Michael's saying it's a pity that you can't put a line rule on a layer below the text. Okay, you mean horizontally or vertically? And below the text meaning behind the text or under the text? Because there are paragraph rules that can be below the text. They wouldn't be on a separate layer, but they can be below the text. All right, let's see if I missed anything else over here. I can't see that. I think it looks like QOWP. Glad you're here on the first stream. Judy Baker, great to see you as well. Yep, I agree. The column rule feature is neat. And yes, spine similar elements is fab. You guys worked on it, so you tell me. I think it's great. All right, so with that said, I think that is going to be it for me today. Join me tomorrow. I will be streaming, I think, on the Creative Cloud channel, and we'll do some some Photoshop stuff as well. So cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching, and glad to be back, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.